Hello, I'm Matt Damour of the Link newspaper and 99 Media, here with a recap of this evening's protest. Tonight was a Labor Day themed protest, which was billed as the unofficial start of l'automne chaud, or the hot fall, which is basically saying that there's going to be a lot of strike activity from both labor unions and student unions coming up. About 300 to 400 people showed up at Parc des Faubourgs at around 6 o'clock. That was the official start time. Things got underway at about 6:15, 6:30. People started marching, and much like May Day, there was a little bit of a false start. Protesters started marching down a certain street, and riot police officers blocked off access, forcing the march to go in another direction. So already people were a little bit irritated by this. But once the march actually got underway, people were very enthusiastic. People were shouting slogans quite loudly. Some of them were anti-austerity, some of them were against the police officers that were present. It was the usual police tactic, riot police officers flanking the crowd on both sides of the sidewalk. And on major intersections, riot police officers were blocking access to try and funnel the direction of the protest. Now eventually this led to Place Émilie Gamelin, which is the usual starting point for a lot of student protests. But once we got there, it was very clear that the riot police did not want protesters to move anywhere closer to St. Catherine Street, closer to the downtown core, so they were blocking access on the intersections of Barry and St. Catherine and Barry and de Maisonneuve. There were a few protesters who tried to get past a riot police blockade, and at that point, that's when the police showed force for the first time. They took out their extendable batons, and there was a little bit of pushing and shoving. A few people, maybe a dozen, managed to get past the police blockade, but the rest stayed at Place Émilie Gamelin. And at that point, that's pretty much when the protest had ended. It all in all took about an hour. A lot of protesters got on the metro system and some stayed outside, but eventually there was just a dispersal. At no point was the protest deemed to be illegal. There was no tear gas or pepper spray that was used, and my colleague at 99 Media followed some of the protesters into the metro system. His name is Rick Fournier. They got off at Frontenac Metro, and it was really just a pocket of protesters that were followed by police for a little while, but no arrests were made. So all in all, it was a relatively peaceful protest. There was a little bit of action going on between riot police and some of the protesters who were trying to get past their blockades. But again, no arrests, no serious force used, and no pepper spray. It ended very much like a lot of the protests last spring did, with police making a hardline push to not let the protesters get closer to the downtown core. So we'll see if the numbers come up past 500 in the next few protests and how the police shift their tactics. For 99 Media and the Link newspaper, I'm Matt Damour. Make sure to check out the linknewspaper.ca and 99media.org for more coverage.